Welcome back to the 2021 Liqui Pro Watercross World Championships, powered by HydroTurf. We dive right back into the racing.
And I am willing to bet that BJ Yang is gonna cause some problems in front of him. I don't see him staying back in that fourth position for long.
No, he is riding hard right now, trying to catch up to Dutton, but Dutton is probably a good 5 or 6 seconds ahead of him on course at this point. And remember, the top three now have all taken their respective jokers, so right now, this is just a flat-out ride to the finish. And as they work their way through the blue buoys here on the outside lane, the gap remaining about the same here between Torrey Snyder and King D, as they'll come back onto the front straightaway here with a few laps still left to run.
And Torrey, similar position to Matthew Richuk in a Ski GP class. If King D stays in second, he wins the overall no matter what. If he can get a rider in between them, they'll tie on points, and Torrey, finishing the third moto in a higher position, would get the nod and the overall championship.
So this is where both the riders in the top two have really got to be smart, especially about taking their lines and watching for that chop and the pump wash, because Dutton is a little distance back, probably right now too far back to mount a serious challenge, but we just saw that bobble that BJ had earlier in this race cost him a couple of spots.
Exactly.
So there you go.
You never know. That's the thing about pro watercross racing over almost any other sport, is that your track changes every 3 feet. And it does that every single lap, every single moto. And the ability to read the water, some of these pro riders have secondary intuition. They put so many miles in, they know where to go. It might look slower to some, but they know it's faster. And nobody knows that better than King D, Dustin Farthing, in that second position. He'd like to get another championship to match his sons this weekend.
So Torrey heading back around the outside on the right-hand side, and that will allow him to get past the lap rider. And the lap rider did the smart thing there and eased out of the throttle and let King D go ahead and scoot by. Didn't want to interfere with that lead battle.
That was a very wise decision on his part. King D is not known for backing out the throttle, ever. Torrey, clear water in front of him. King D behind him. His only possibility of a championship in third, Chase Dutton. If Dutton can split himself and Snyder, Torrey will gain the championship. Anything short of Dustin finishing more than one position back, it's all over.
And BJ just has not been able to catch up to that lead trio, try as though he might. So that little mistake he had earlier in this race dearly cost him a possibility at a podium for the overall, as he sits back in the fourth spot right now. Meanwhile, on the opposite end of the track, your leader is still continuing through.
And King D goes down, puts his hand in the air.
Yeah, something went wrong with King D.
And there you go. Torrey Snyder is in a great position to win a championship. Doesn't mean his boat won't stop at the next corner.
No, he's got to be careful. Oh, he just actually clipped a buoy on the right-hand side there, going around the outside. Probably cut that turn maybe a little bit closer than he was anticipating. So, yeah, this puts Torrey Snyder in the driver's seat now, with King D having a mechanical issue on his entry. Torrey may have very well just walked into a world championship title.
He may have, but there's still some more laps, and anything can happen in pro watercross. And it always does.
And we see Torrey actually going out there hitting the makeup buoy. So.
If he hadn't, he'd be a lap down.
Yeah. White flag will wave here. Final lap underway.
Dad's over there raising a fist. Tim Judge is putting his hands down, say, take it easy, son, take it easy. You've got this. You got this one in hand. So the final half lap for Tori Snyder. He's got a heck of a job here, Paul. He's got to stay upright on top of that machine for about 8 more buoys, and he will be a world champion.
So he'll work his way through into the blue course here on the outside for the final time. So hanging in there, staying tough in this one is going to pay off for Tori Snyder. And the rider from Bradenton, Florida will come to the checkers and be crowned the Pro-Am Runabout Box Stock World Champion.
I am now joined by the newest world champion. Tori, you told me yesterday that blue boat would be the first one crossing the finish line. How does it now feel to be a world champion?
It feels great. It's the first time me or my dad has won, or actually my dad won Pro Stock the first time we ever came to Naples. But it feels good to be back on top. CB2 won the last 2 rounds, or last 2 World Finals here, and it's glad to have Yamaha back on top.
Speaking of those last 2 years, you were going up against the 2-time defending champion. What was your mindset going into this race to come out on top?
Just hit my starts and stay consistent, and I knew I would stay out front of them.
That concludes our 2021 Pro Watercross Runabout Box Stock Racing. If you thought that was cool, up next, Sports Talk.